Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my subscribers. There are a lot more of you now, so thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. This is where we talk about money, saving, and turning your hard-earned cash into wealth-building assets. This is Bald Guy Money. I am Bald Guy. Let's talk money. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is basically everywhere today. It's becoming legal tender in El Salvador. It's been in the news everywhere lately, and it's really the talk of investors all around the world. Bitcoin is a scarce resource, and many people call it digital gold. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how much Bitcoin I think every person should have. Spoiler alert, you may be surprised at how little I think you need to own. And as usual, I will break down my ownership levels by income bracket to give you an idea of how much I think people should have depending on how much they make. So watch to the very end. Really, you won't want to miss any of this video. It is full of useful knowledge. Just before we get into it, kind reminder that none of this is financial advice. Please remember to do your own research before investing to make sure that you're doing what is the best thing for yourself. Now to Bitcoin. The growth of Bitcoin over the last years has been phenomenal. Nobody can argue that, and just take a look at this chart right here. You can see that we are currently around $43,500 per Bitcoin. As I am making this video now, it is August 7th, it's late at night, but I will be putting this video out for you tomorrow morning on Sunday. And we are coming off of a high of $64,800 a few months ago, which is normal for any commodity, even like gold or oil, but we're up over the last year. And that's how Bald Guy measures things, by the way, over long periods of time. And as you can see, we are up $32,200 per Bitcoin, or 285% versus where we were a year ago today. With Bitcoin adoption rates growing, in fact, tripling the last year, how much do I think people should own, and what would that cost them today in fiat currency? Here it is. This is the absolute minimum per person I would urge any of my friends or family to secure themselves with today. It guarantees, in my opinion, that you get at least your fair share of Bitcoin in the future. That's 0.0024 Bitcoin. And for those of you who are new to Bitcoin, yes, you can buy small fractions of Bitcoin. You do not need to buy a whole one. And that amount, I recommend, costs about $104 today. Now, if you're wondering how I got that number exactly, here's the breakdown. I took the total population of the world and tried to estimate the number of people who participate in the financial system now and have a high likelihood of continuing to do so over the next 10 years. So my method here is that I included everybody from ages 20 to 59 years old as participants in the financial system today, and assuming that they will be participants in the financial system 10 years from now. For people under 20 or from 60 to 79 years old, I have estimated that approximately 50% of those people will be participating in the financial system over the next 10 years. People who are above 80 years old, I'm not including in the calculation, because what I'm trying to do with this is I'm trying to figure out exactly how many people we are in competition for to collect Bitcoin. So, the total amount of people I've come up with, as you can see there, is 5,859,000,000 people. The next thing I did was I tried to determine exactly how many Bitcoins we're all competing for. For that, I consulted Cane Island, a leading company in blockchain analysis where Bitcoin exists. And this is their take, which I can say is probably the most credible from all the sources that I checked on the internet. Here, I'll pull it up for you. As you can see, of the total 21 million Bitcoin that can exist, only 14 million Bitcoin will ever circulate due to the rate at which coins are lost. Now, what does that mean that a coin is lost? Basically, what we're talking about is somebody has either forgotten their PIN, their password, their key to their Bitcoin, or sometimes in very sad circumstances, people lock up their Bitcoin and sadly pass away, and they don't have any access to their Bitcoin anymore. That is why, in this calculation, we will estimate that approximately 7 million Bitcoin are out of circulation forever, meaning that we are competing against everyone for 14 million Bitcoin. Now that we've established how many people are competing for Bitcoin right now, and how many Bitcoins there actually are, the next step was to do the following calculation. As you can see, the total number of Bitcoins, 14 million, divided by the total of number of people I assume are competing for those 14 million Bitcoin. And the answer to that calculation is 0.0024 Bitcoin, which is the amount of Bitcoin I think every person should have as a minimum in order to secure their fair share of Bitcoin. And if you're skeptical about Bitcoin or think it will never do anything, well, in your shoes, I would ask myself, if all it costs to buy Bitcoin insurance, let's call it, and get my fair share of Bitcoin today, and if that cost is only $104, maybe I should at least consider it. Just check out this table of what it will cost you to get your fair share of Bitcoin at different price levels as Bitcoin increases in value over time. As you can see, at today's price, it will cost you $104. Once we reach near the previous high, around $60,000, that cost will go up to $144 US. Once Bitcoin reaches $100,000, the cost to secure your fair share of Bitcoin will be $240. $250,000 Bitcoin will cost you $600 for your fair share. Once we reach $476,190, that number is really important. I'll explain why in a moment. The cost of your fair share of Bitcoin will be $1,143. And once we reach $1 million, we're talking about $2,400 in order to secure your fair share of Bitcoin. So, to get your fair share, it's still affordable today for most people. And the reason for that is because it's still early. In fact, not even 5% of the world's population has adopted Bitcoin yet, but that number is growing quickly. This article from Bitcoin.com, which I'll link up in the description, illustrates the data showing that there are now 221 million people worldwide who have adopted cryptocurrencies. Assuming every single one of those people owns a little bit of Bitcoin, which we know it's less than that, but for the argument's sake, let's say so. That means only 3.8% of people who are competing for Bitcoin have actually bought it so far. So, if you buy it now, that means you are still early to the game. Now, if you noticed in that table where I showed the prices, let's bring it up for a moment again. Okay, you'll see I specifically highlighted the Bitcoin price of $476,190. But why did I do that? That's because a lot of experts in assets and commodities, including myself, see Bitcoin as digital gold. And as the world becomes more digital, it becomes imperative to own some. With the total value of the world's gold estimated to be around 10 trillion US dollars today, those experts I mentioned earlier expect Bitcoin's total market cap, or the price for all Bitcoins, to reach the same level as gold, while it continually rises as the dollar inflates. That means $10 trillion divided by 21 million Bitcoins in existence gives you a $476,190 per Bitcoin price as a conservative long-term estimate, considering that there are only 14 million Bitcoins circulating, as I said before. So, since I like to be thorough, here are the three experts I am referring to that see things developing the way I've just explained them. Number one is Robert Kiyosaki, real estate investor and author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm certain that many viewers here are familiar with Robert Kiyosaki. Paul Tudor Jones. He's an American hedge fund manager. He's also an investing legend for deals he made during the stock market crash in the 80s, and he's a billionaire. Max Keiser, former stockbroker, broadcaster, filmmaker, and early Bitcoin adopter. Many of you may recognize him from RT, which is Russia Today. There's a big YouTube channel. Check him out if you don't know him. What's funny about these three is not only have they done well holding real gold, they are also doing well holding digital gold, because they accept the digital reality that will allow Bitcoin to take its place next to gold as a store of wealth. So now that we've covered the minimum of what I think you should hold in Bitcoin and why I think it's important to have it, let's cover what you need at different income levels in order to secure yourself. Why I think this exercise is important is simple, and it's all based on this calculation. Let's pull it up. If you look at how many Bitcoins there are per millionaire in this world, you'll understand that the number is actually small. With 14 million Bitcoins in circulation and approximately 56 millionaires in the world, there are only 0.25 Bitcoins per millionaire. Now, that means if Bitcoin becomes a serious store of wealth, as I expect, and as many experts expect it to become, every millionaire, just to secure their current share of wealth in the world, will need to own this amount of Bitcoin, 0.25 Bitcoin. So, what does it look like for people at different income levels? Please note that I started my scale from the average annual world salary, which is $18,000 a year as reported by BBC. My estimation is that most of my viewers are within this range, if not higher or even much higher. So let's pull up the image. So if you are making less than $18,000 per year, I think you should hold your fair share of Bitcoin, which is 0.0024 Bitcoin, which costs today $104. If you're making between $18,000 and $30,000 a year, that number goes up to 0.004. The next bracket, as you can see, brings us to 0.008, which would cost $348 today. The next bracket, 60,000 to 90,000, we're talking 0.012 Bitcoin, $522 today. 90,000 to $120,000 per year, we're talking 0.016 Bitcoin, which would cost $696 today. If you're making more than $250,000 per year, I personally think you should hold at least 0.0333 Bitcoin, which would cost $1,450 today. And if you're making more than $1 million per year, the minimum I would personally hold is 0.1333 Bitcoin, which would cost $5,800 today. These numbers, as I see it, ensure that you will be able to secure enough Bitcoin as an insurance policy in case it becomes what many experts believe it will become. That said, I think if you're not a millionaire today, striving for that 0.25 Bitcoin, which is millionaire level Bitcoin according to the math, could put you in a position in the future to significantly change your life situation. The cost of that today would be $10,875. And I know it's a lot of money. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just food for thought, because from where I'm sitting, accumulating that much Bitcoin could seriously be life-changing for many people. If you've made it this far and got all that information in your head, congratulations, and thank you. Before I leave you, I will beat a dead horse, as I do in a lot of my videos. I'm going to pull up the graphic now. And I'm sure that if you've seen my earlier videos, you must be familiar with this graphic already. This shows the money supply. I should probably update it, as I know that there's been some increase in the official numbers lately, but I think this illustrates what is happening in general very well. The supply of money is growing at a rate that is now out of control. It cannot be stopped, because if governments stop inflating their currency, it will halt the economy as they have structured it. Therefore, keeping your hard-earned money in the bank only means that it will decrease in value. The bald guy way is to convert your cash into assets like Bitcoin, like real estate, like gold, like silver, and even some stocks. Why do I do that? Why is that the bald guy way? It's because they appreciate in value as the value of the dollar and every other fiat currency out there goes down, thus saving the fruits of your hard work from the evils of inflation. Please remember to hit the like button if you want to recognize all the hard work I put into this video, and please also subscribe if you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing other videos like it in the future. As always, I wish you happiness, I wish you success, and I hope to see you in the next one. Arigato.